My toxic boss made me train someone else for my job, unaware my father owned the company. The first thing I do every morning is check my appearance in the elevator's polished doors. Not out of vanity, but necessity. Even a single wrinkle in my blouse would give Mr. Carter something to comment on during our 9 a.m. department meeting. Today, my reflection shows the perfect facade. Crisp white button-up, hair pulled back in a tight bun, not a single strand out of place. Perfect. Forgettable. Exactly as I need to be. The elevator doors slide open to the 37th floor of Grayson Industries headquarters, and I inhale deeply, steeling myself for another day in hell. Cutting it close, aren't we, Isla? Mr. Carter's voice slithers across the open-plan office before I've even reached my desk. I glance at my watch. 8:47 a.m. 13 minutes early, as always. Good morning, Mr. Carter. I reply, my voice even. I was just about to prepare the quarterly reports for your review. He smirks, leaning against my cubicle. Matthew Carter, Senior Vice President of Operations, looks exactly like what you'd expect. Designer suit that costs more than most employees' monthly salary. Slicked back hair with just the right amount of gray to suggest experience without age, and a smile that never reaches his cold, calculating eyes. The reports were due on my desk first thing this morning. His tone suggests mild disappointment, but his eyes gleam with satisfaction at catching me in a perceived failure. You requested them for tomorrow's board meeting. I reply softly, retrieving the email from my tablet. Your email specifically mentioned having them ready by Wednesday. His expression hardens momentarily before he forces another smile. Plans change, Isla. A good employee anticipates these things without needing to be told explicitly. Have them on my desk within the hour. He walks away before I can respond, stopping at Jessica's desk to loudly compliment her on her proactive attitude, despite the fact that she's been scrolling through social media since she arrived. I sink into my chair, allowing myself exactly 5 seconds of frustration before opening the report files. 5 years I've worked under this man. 5 years of watching him take credit for successful projects while blaming failures on his team. 5 years of calculated humiliation and mind games. 5 years of gathering evidence against him. My phone buzzes discreetly in my pocket. A text from my father. Dinner tonight? 7 p.m. at Antonio's. I type back a quick confirmation. To anyone glancing at my screen, it would look like a casual dinner arrangement. But Antonio's isn't just any restaurant. It's where we exchange information, away from corporate eyes and ears. Because what Matthew Carter doesn't know, what nobody at Grayson Industries knows, is that I'm not just another disposable employee. I'm Isla Grayson, daughter of Richard Grayson, the company's founder and majority shareholder. My father built this company from nothing, transforming it from a small tech startup into a global enterprise worth billions. But 5 years ago, when concerning reports about the corporate culture began crossing his desk, he made a decision. Instead of coming in with accusations and firings, he wanted to understand the problem from the inside. And so, fresh out of business school, I became Isla Parker, an ordinary employee with a fabricated resume and references. Hey, a voice whispers from the neighboring cubicle. He's in a mood today. Marcus slides a coffee onto my desk, our morning ritual. In this corporate wasteland, Marcus has been my one true ally. He doesn't know my secret either, but he's seen Carter's true colors more than most. When is he not? I reply, accepting the coffee gratefully. Did you finish the Henderson proposal? Marcus nods, glancing nervously toward Carter's glass-walled office. Submitted it last night. Want to bet he presents it as his own work at the executive meeting. I take a sip of coffee, hiding my grimace. No bet. That's a guaranteed loss. Throughout the morning, I complete the quarterly reports while simultaneously documenting Carter's behavior. My smartwatch, a gift from my father, isn't just a timepiece. It's equipped with recording capabilities, activated by a subtle double tap. Every time Carter emerges from his office to berate an employee or take credit for someone else's idea, I capture it. By lunchtime, I've collected 3 new recordings to add to my growing file. 5 years of documentation, emails, recordings, witness statements from former employees who felt safe speaking to me after leaving. all building toward the moment when we finally expose the rot that's been spreading through my father's company. At 2:30 p.m., Carter's secretary sends a company-wide email announcing a mandatory department meeting at 3 p.m. The atmosphere in the office immediately tenses. These impromptu meetings never bring good news. "Do you know what this is about?" Marcus whispers as we file into the conference room. I shake my head, though I have my suspicions. Last week, I overheard Carter on the phone with someone from HR discussing departmental restructuring. Corporate speak for layoffs. Carter strides into the room 5 minutes late, a power move he's fond of, and takes his place at the head of the table. He doesn't sit, preferring to tower over us. As you all know, Grayson Industries is committed to staying competitive in an ever-changing market. He begins, his practiced corporate voice oozing false sincerity. To that end, we'll be implementing some strategic changes to our departmental structure. The tension in the room is palpable as my colleagues shift nervously. Carter seems to feed off their anxiety, his posture becoming more dominant. Some positions will be eliminated, he continues. Others will be upgraded with fresh talent. His eyes land on me, and something in his expression sends a chill down my spine. There's a particular cruelty there, beyond his usual disdain. Those affected will be notified individually following this meeting. That's all for now. As everyone files out, murmuring anxiously, Carter's secretary appears at my side. "Mr. Carter would like to see you in his office." Marcus squeezes my arm sympathetically. "Good luck," he whispers. I nod, keeping my expression neutral as I follow her to Carter's glass kingdom. Inside, he's lounging in his chair, feet propped on his desk, looking thoroughly pleased with himself. "Close the door, Isla," he says, not bothering to stand. As I do, I discreetly double-tap my watch. "You wanted to see me, sir? 5 years you've been with us, right?" he asks, though I know he's well aware of my tenure. "Yes, sir." Dedicated employee. Always on time. Always adequate. He says the last word like it's an insult. But the truth is, Isla, the company needs more than adequate now. We need innovative, dynamic, special. I remain silent, watching him enjoy what he believes is his moment of ultimate power over me. "We're bringing in someone new for your position," he finally says, not bothering to soften the blow. "Someone with fresh ideas and energy." Despite knowing this was coming, despite the fact that I'm here by choice, the words still sting. 5 years of work, dismissed as merely adequate. "I understand," I say quietly. Carter seems disappointed by my calm response. He leans forward, adding the twist of the knife. "Before you go, though, I'll need you to train your replacement. Ryan starts tomorrow. I want him fully prepared to take over by the end of next week." Now I understand the particular cruelty in his eyes during the meeting. Not only am I being discarded, I'm being forced to facilitate my own replacement. It's a humiliation tactic I've seen him use before, a final power play to break an employee's spirit. "Of course, Mr. Carter," I say, my voice steady despite the fury building inside me. "I'd be happy to help with the transition." For a fraction of a second, disappointment flickers across his face at my composure. He wanted tears, protests, begging. Instead, I've denied him that satisfaction. "Good," he says curtly. "You can go." As I walk back to my desk, past colleagues avoiding eye contact, news travels fast in this office. I make my decision. What was meant to be a long-term information-gathering mission has just been accelerated. Matthew Carter has just given me the perfect opportunity to bring him down. And he has no idea who he's really dealing with. Because I'm not just Isla Parker, the disposable employee. I'm Isla Grayson, and this company belongs to my family. That evening, I sit across from my father at Antonio's, a small Italian restaurant tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. Despite owning a multi-billion-dollar company, Richard Grayson looks more like a history professor than a corporate titan, silver-streaked hair slightly disheveled, wire-rimmed glasses perched on his nose, wearing a simple navy blazer rather than an ostentatious suit. "He fired you?" My father's eyes widen, the fork in his hand freezing midway to his mouth. I twirl pasta around my fork, trying to appear more composed than I feel. Not just fired. He's making me train my replacement first. Dad sets down his utensils, his expression darkening. In the soft lighting of the restaurant, I can see the resemblance between us that I normally try to disguise at work, the same determined set of the jaw, the same analytical gaze. That's unnecessarily cruel, even for Carter, he says quietly. We have enough evidence to move now, Isla. You don't need to subject yourself to this. I shake my head. This is perfect, actually. The training period gives me access I wouldn't normally have. Carter will be too busy gloating to notice what I'm really doing. My father studies me with concern. 5 years, Isla. You've given 5 years to this investigation. I never meant for it to consume so much of your life. The weight of those years suddenly feels heavy on my shoulders. 5 years of pretending to be someone else. 5 years of swallowing my pride while Carter belittled me and others. 5 years of watching good people get crushed under his toxic leadership. I need to see this through, I insist. For everyone he's hurt. For the company's future. Dad reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. Just be careful. Men like Carter are most dangerous when they think they've won. The next morning, I arrive early to find a young man waiting awkwardly by my desk. He can't be more than 25, with an eager expression that reminds me of a Labrador puppy waiting for instructions. You must be Ryan, I say, extending my hand. I'm Isla. He shakes my hand firmly. Ryan Mercer. It's great to meet you. His voice is sincere, his smile genuine. Not at all what I expected. I gesture for him to take a seat. I hear you'll be taking over my position. Ryan's smile falters, discomfort flashing across his face. Yeah, about that. I just want to say, I had no idea they were letting someone go to bring me in. Mr. Carter told me this was a new position they created. Interesting. So Carter had lied to him too. Don't worry about it, I say, turning to my computer. Let's just focus on getting you up to speed. As we begin reviewing files, Carter emerges from his office, making a beeline for my desk. He claps Ryan on the shoulder with false camaraderie. I see you two have met. How's the training coming along, Isla? We've just started, Mr. Carter, I reply coolly. Carter surveys my desk, his gaze landing on a framed photo I keep tucked beside my monitor. My father and me on a hiking trip, our backs to the camera as we look out over a mountain vista, identities safely obscured. Family? Carter asks, picking up the frame without permission. My father, I reply, resisting the urge to snatch it back. Carter studies the photo with feigned interest. Hiking enthusiast? He enjoys the outdoors, I say carefully. My kind of man. Carter lies smoothly, setting the photo down. Simple pleasures for simple people. I feel Ryan stiffen beside me at the thinly veiled insult. Carter doesn't notice, too busy enjoying his perceived victory. Ryan, my office at noon. I want to discuss your ideas for the Henderson account. He shoots me a smug glance. Fresh perspectives and all that. As he walks away, Ryan turns to me, visibly uncomfortable. I don't have any ideas for the Henderson account. I don't even know what the Henderson account is. Don't worry, I say grimly. He doesn't expect you to. He just wants to dangle your position in front of me. Ryan's face falls. That's messed up. Welcome to Grayson Industries under Matthew Carter, I reply dryly. Now, let's get you prepared so you don't walk into that meeting completely blindsided. We spend the next 3 hours going through client files, project histories, and department protocols. Ryan proves to be a quick learner, asking thoughtful questions and taking detailed notes. Despite my initial resentment, I find myself impressed by his genuine interest in understanding the work. Can I ask you something? Ryan says as we break for coffee. Why are you helping me? I mean, really helping me, not just going through the motions. I consider my answer carefully. Because whatever Carter might think, this company matters to me. The work we do matters. Ryan studies me for a moment. You know, when Carter described you, he said you were competent but uninspired. That's not the person I'm meeting today. A small smile tugs at my lips. Carter sees what he wants to see. By noon, Ryan has enough background to survive his meeting with Carter. As he heads toward the glass office, I discreetly tap my watch, activating the recording function. Then I do something I've never done before. I follow, positioning myself just outside Carter's office, ostensibly organizing files at a nearby cabinet. Through the glass walls, I watch as Ryan sits across from Carter, who leans back in his chair with the arrogant posture of a king granting audience to a peasant. Their voices filter through the not-quite soundproof walls. "So, Ryan, impressed with your predecessor's work?" Carter asks, his tone suggesting there's only one acceptable answer. Ryan hesitates. "Actually, yes. Isla seems extremely knowledgeable and dedicated." Carter's smile tightens. "Well, there's a difference between knowing the job and excelling at it. Isla lacks initiative, creative thinking, the spark that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary." I continue filing papers, my face expressionless despite the burning in my chest. Every word is being recorded. "I'm sure you'll bring that spark," Carter continues. "In fact, I have a special project in mind for you already. Something that could fast-track your career here." As their conversation continues, I realize what I'm witnessing is far worse than personal humiliation. Carter is outlining a plan to manipulate quarterly numbers, encouraging Ryan to get creative with reporting to make the department look better for the upcoming board review. My heart pounds as I listen. This isn't just toxic leadership, it's corporate fraud, and I've caught it all on record. When Ryan emerges from the meeting looking shell-shocked, I know my suspicions were correct. The ultimate betrayal isn't Carter firing me, it's what he's doing to my father's company from within. "Went well?" I ask quietly. Ryan glances around before leaning close. "We need to talk. Privately." And that's when I know I've just found an unexpected ally in my mission to bring down Matthew Carter. "I can't believe he actually asked you to falsify reports," I whisper, leaning forward in my seat. We're at a coffee shop 2 blocks from the office, where there's no chance of running into Carter or any of our colleagues. Ryan runs a hand through his hair, his earlier enthusiasm replaced by genuine distress. He made it sound like standard practice. Creative accounting, he called it. I take a sip of my latte, mind racing. Did he mention specific accounts he wanted you to adjust? The Henderson account, Westlake Industries, and something called Project Nexus. Ryan pulls out his notepad, sliding it across the table. He was very specific about the numbers he wanted to see. I scan the figures, my stomach nodding. These aren't minor adjustments. They're significant enough to mislead shareholders and the board about the company's performance, while simultaneously making Carter's department look like the company's crown jewel. "Ryan," I say carefully, "what you're describing is fraud. Not just unethical, illegal." "I know." His voice drops even lower. "That's why I needed to talk to you. I can't do this. I didn't sign up for this." I study him, making a swift calculation. What if there was a way to expose him? Ryan's eyes widen. "What do you mean?" I lean closer. "What if I told you I've been documenting Carter's behavior for years? The bullying, the credit stealing, the manipulation. But I never had concrete evidence of anything illegal until now." "Years?" Ryan looks stunned. "Why would you put up with someone like him for that long?" It's the moment of truth. Do I trust Ryan with my secret? Before I can decide, my phone buzzes with a text from my father. Board meeting moved up. Next Friday. I make my decision. "Ryan, what I'm about to tell you cannot leave this table." I take a deep breath. My name isn't just Isla Parker. It's Isla Grayson, as in Grayson Industries. His jaw actually drops. "You're the founder's daughter, yes." I watch his expressions cycle through shock, confusion, and finally understanding. I've been working undercover to investigate reports of toxic leadership. My father suspected something was wrong, but he needed someone on the inside. "Holy shit," Ryan whispers, eloquently summarizing the situation. "So Carter has no idea he just fired the owner's daughter?" "None whatsoever. And now I have 1 week to gather enough evidence to bring him down before the board meeting." I lean forward. "Are you with me?" Ryan doesn't hesitate. "Absolutely. What's the plan?" The next morning, I arrive at work with a large tote bag containing more than just my laptop. Hidden inside are small, state-of-the-art recording devices my father procured from a security consultant, completely legal for recording in a workplace where I have authorization as a company representative. Ryan meets me at my desk, his expression appropriately somber for someone training with the person he's replacing. But there's a new energy between us, the electricity of conspiracy. "Good morning," he says, loud enough for nearby colleagues to hear. "Ready for another exciting day of training?" I nod, opening my desk drawer and discreetly slipping him one of the devices, a pen that contains a microphone and camera. "I thought we'd start with the filing system," I reply, equally loudly. As we work, I murmur instructions under my breath. "Keep this with you during your one-on-one with Carter this afternoon. Act interested in his creative accounting suggestions. Ask questions. Get him talking." Ryan nods almost imperceptibly, tucking the pen into his shirt pocket. Meanwhile, I begin my own preparations. While explaining the customer database to Ryan, I'm actually installing a small camera disguised as a USB drive into my computer. Another device, resembling an ordinary power bank, goes into my desk drawer, recording audio continuously. By lunchtime, we've set up recording devices at my workstation, in the conference room where Carter holds team meetings, and even in the break room where he often corners employees when they're vulnerable and alone. What if he catches on? Ryan asks quietly as we eat lunch at our desks, reviewing files together as part of our training. Carter's biggest weakness is his ego, I reply. He's so convinced of his own superiority that he never imagines anyone could outsmart him. As if summoned by his name, Carter emerges from his office, heading straight for us. I casually tap my watch twice, activating its recording function. "How's the knowledge transfer coming along?" he asks, the phrase making me sound like a piece of outdated equipment being replaced by a newer model. "Very well," I reply. "Ryan's a quick study." Carter smiles at Ryan with artificial warmth. "Excellent. After our meeting this afternoon, I want you to join the team call with the Tokyo office. Time you started making real contributions instead of just shadowing the past." The insult lands exactly as intended, but I maintain my neutral expression. "That's a great opportunity for Ryan," I say evenly. Carter's eyes narrow slightly at my lack of reaction. He wants to see me crumble, to validate his decision by proving I'm emotionally weak. Instead, I smile politely, driving him to push harder. "In fact, Isla, why don't you use your remaining time to clean out the storage room? We could use the space more efficiently once you're gone." It's a degrading task usually reserved for interns, and we both know it. Around us, colleagues pretend not to listen, their discomfort palpable. "Of course, Mr. Carter," I reply. "I'll get right on that." As he walks away, satisfied with his petty victory, Ryan waits until he's out of earshot before whispering, "What a complete asshole." "And now we have that interaction on record too," I murmur, nodding toward my watch. "Keep this up, and we'll have enough material for a documentary by Friday." Throughout the afternoon, our plan unfolds with precision. Ryan returns from his meeting with Carter looking appropriately enthusiastic, giving me a subtle thumbs up as he passes my desk. The pen recorder worked perfectly. By the end of the day, I've filled the storage room with hidden cameras while appearing to organize it. When Carter walks by to inspect my punishment work, every degrading comment is captured in high definition. As we're leaving, Ryan catches up to me at the elevator. "I got something big," he whispers. He wants me to delete some emails before IT does their quarterly backup. Something about communications with the Westlake account. My pulse quickens. That's destruction of evidence. When? Tomorrow morning. He gave me his password and everything. I nod, keeping my expression neutral for the benefit of nearby colleagues. Perfect. That night, I meet with my father again, laying out everything we've gathered so far and our plan for the coming days. "You've thought of everything," he says, pride evident in his voice. "But be careful, Isla. Men like Carter are dangerous when cornered." I squeeze his hand reassuringly. "One more week, Dad. By this time next Friday, Matthew Carter will never hurt another employee again." What I don't tell my father is how much I'm starting to enjoy this, The secret recordings, the hidden cameras, the quiet rebellion. For 5 years, I've been powerless. Now, with every piece of evidence we gather, I feel the balance shifting. The hunter is becoming the hunted, and Carter doesn't even know it yet. The week passes in a blur of covert recordings and strategic planning. By Thursday, my penultimate day at Grayson Industries, we've amassed hours of damning evidence. Carter belittling employees, Carter instructing Ryan on methods to manipulate financial reports, Carter openly discussing how to circumvent compliance regulations. Each recording more incriminating than the last. But it's not enough. Not yet. We need something definitive, I tell Ryan as we huddle in the stairwell during our morning coffee break. Something that ties everything together and proves this isn't just a one-off occurrence. Ryan nods, nervously adjusting his tie. A new addition to his wardrobe that Carter suggested would make him look more professional. He mentioned a private folder on his computer. Said it contained insurance policies against higher-ups who've questioned his methods. My heart races. Blackmail material. That's exactly what we need. But how do we access it? He only logs into that computer himself, and the office has security cameras. I smile. Leave that to me. Back at my desk, I send a carefully worded email to IT, copying Carter. Request for data migration support for Mr. Carter's files before my departure tomorrow. Please advise on procedure. Within minutes, Carter appears at my desk, exactly as I'd anticipated. What is this? He demands, waving his phone with my email displayed. I affect an innocent expression. I thought you'd want me to ensure Ryan has access to all necessary files before I leave. Some of the project histories are only on your secure drive. Carter's eyes narrow with suspicion. I decide what files get shared. Of course, Mr. Carter. I just wanted to be thorough. This transition is important to me. My submissive tone soothes his ego, as it always does. He straightens, reasserting his dominance.
Fine.
I'll handle the file transfers myself this afternoon. You can observe, show Ryan the proper protocols. 4 o'clock. Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. The words taste bitter, but I maintain my facade. As he walks away, I catch Ryan's eye across the office and give a subtle nod. The trap is set. At precisely 3:57 p.m., I knock on Carter's office door, Ryan trailing behind me with a notepad, containing the recording pen in its spine. Come in, Carter calls, his voice carrying that particular smugness reserved for days when he's feeling especially powerful. His office is a testament to his inflated self-importance, awards displayed prominently, most earned by teams he supervised, not his own work, expensive art chosen to intimidate rather than inspire, and a desk positioned to force visitors to look up at him. Today, he's added a new touch. A box on my former chair, clearly meant for me to pack my belongings. Right on time, he says, as though punctuality is a surprising trait in me. Ryan, pay attention. There are protocols for handling sensitive company information. For the next 30 minutes, he walks us through various folders on his computer, careful to skip over anything truly revealing. But I'm watching his keystrokes, noting the patterns of his password entries, observing which directories he pointedly avoids. Mr. Carter, I say hesitantly, playing my part, the Henderson account files show different figures than what I've been working with. I point to a spreadsheet he's opened, one of the accounts he directed Ryan to adjust. Carter's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. These are the corrected figures. The ones you had were preliminary. I see. I pause, then press further. And the Westlake Industries documentation? Ryan will need those files for the quarterly report. Carter's eyes flick to Ryan, then back to me, suspicion darkening his features. Why are you suddenly so concerned with files you won't be here to work on? I swallow visibly, letting him see manufactured nervousness. I just want to make sure I've covered everything before I leave. For the company's sake. The flattery works. Carter relaxes slightly, his ego assuaged by the implication that I still care about a company that's discarding me. The Westlake files are sensitive, he says finally. I'll brief Ryan separately on those. I nod, appropriately deferential. Of course. Whatever you think is best. The meeting concludes with Carter explaining, in patronizing detail, how to properly organize client files, as though I haven't been doing exactly that for 5 years. Throughout it all, Ryan plays his part perfectly, asking just enough questions to seem eager without arousing suspicion. As we leave Carter's office, he calls out, "Isla, don't forget to clear out your desk before you leave tomorrow. HR needs your keycard by 5. "Yes, Mr. Carter," I reply, not turning back to let him see the determination in my eyes. Back at my desk, I begin the show of packing my belongings, carefully removing personal items while leaving the hidden recording devices in place. Colleagues stop by with awkward goodbyes, some genuine, others merely performative in case Carter is watching. Marcus approaches last, his expression somber. "This is wrong," he says quietly. "You're the most competent person in this department." "Thank you," I reply, genuinely touched. "But maybe this is for the best. How can you be so calm about it?" he asks, bewildered by my apparent acceptance. I smile mysteriously. Let's just say I have a feeling things will work out as they should. As the office empties for the day, Ryan and I are among the last to leave. We take separate elevators, separate exits, meeting only when we're several blocks away from the building. "Did you get what you needed?" he asks as we walk briskly toward the subway. I pull out my phone, showing him the notes I'd made. Password patterns, folder locations, and most importantly, the name of the hidden directory where he keeps his insurance policies. Tomorrow, while everyone's at the monthly staff breakfast, we make our move. Ryan looks nervous, but resolute. What if something goes wrong? Then I have a backup plan, I assure him. Thinking of the board meeting my father has strategically rescheduled. Later that night, I lay out my clothes for my final day. Not the usual conservative outfit I wear to blend in, but a sharply tailored suit in the exact shade of blue that appears in the Grayson Industries logo. A small detail, but one that will make sense in retrospect. My phone lights up with a text from my father. "Everything ready for tomorrow?" I type back, "Yes." After 5 years, it ends tomorrow. His response is immediate. "Proud of you, Isla." As I set my alarm for the last time as an ordinary employee of Grayson Industries, I feel a complex mix of emotions, anticipation, nervousness, and something else I haven't expected, a touch of sadness. For 5 years, this investigation has been my purpose, my mission. Tomorrow, it ends, and a new chapter begins. Whatever happens, Matthew Carter's reign of terror is about to come to an end, and he'll never see it coming. My last day at Grayson Industries dawns crisp and clear, as if nature itself approves of what's about to unfold. I arrive at the office an hour early, before even the most eager employees have made their appearance. The security guard at the front desk, who knows me only as quiet, reliable Isla Parker, barely glances up as I swipe my soon-to-be deactivated keycard. "Last day, right?" he asks casually. I smile. "Yes." But something tells me it's going to be memorable. The office is eerily quiet as I make my final preparations. I retrieve the hidden recording devices, carefully downloading their contents onto an encrypted drive. Then I access my computer one last time, sending a particular file to a very specific email address, one that belongs to the company's IT director, with instructions to hold until precisely 10:30 a.m. Ryan arrives 30 minutes later, looking both nervous and determined in a crisp new suit. "Ready?" I ask quietly. He nods. "Carter's at the executive breakfast. Won't be back until 9:30. Perfect. We move swiftly to Carter's office. With the password patterns I'd observed yesterday, it takes only 3 attempts to gain access to his computer. Ryan stands lookout while I navigate to the hidden directory he doesn't think anyone knows about. What we find exceeds even my expectations. Folders labeled with executives' names, containing everything from manipulated performance reports to embarrassing photos likely taken at company events. One folder, simply labeled Board, contains detailed notes on each board member's vulnerabilities and pressure points, information Carter has clearly been using to maintain his position despite complaints. But the most damning is a folder marked Adjustments, containing 5 years of systematically falsified financial records that would devastate shareholder value if they ever came to light. "We got him," Ryan whispers, glancing over my shoulder. Working quickly, I copy everything to a second encrypted drive, careful to leave no trace of our digital intrusion. Then we restore the computer exactly as we found it and exit the office, just as the first wave of employees returns from the executive breakfast. Carter strides in at 9:45, looking particularly smug. He spots me at my desk, finalizing my handover notes for Ryan. "Last day jitters, Isla?" he asks, his voice dripping with false concern. "Not at all, Mr. Carter," I reply calmly, just making sure everything's in order for this morning's board meeting. His brow furrows. "Board meeting? That's next week." I allow myself a small smile. "Oh, I must be mistaken. Time flies when you're on your way out, I suppose." He chuckles, dismissing my comment as the ramblings of a disgruntled employee, and continues to his office. At 10:15, an email circulates announcing an emergency board meeting in the main conference room at 10:30. Carter emerges from his office, visibly confused and increasingly agitated. "What's this about?" he demands of his assistant, who can only shrug helplessly. "I believe all executives are required to attend," I offer innocently, gathering my belongings as if preparing to leave. Carter glares at me suspiciously before stalking off toward the conference room. As soon as he's gone, Ryan appears at my desk. "It's happening, isn't it?" he asks, voice low with excitement. I nod, heart pounding. "Let's go." Instead of leaving, we take the executive elevator to the top floor, slipping into the back of the conference room where board members and executives are already gathering. No one questions our presence. They're too focused on the unusual meeting and the large display screen at the front of the room that has inexplicably turned on by itself. At precisely 10:30, the doors open one final time. My father walks in, dressed impeccably in the same shade of blue as my suit. Richard Grayson, founder and majority shareholder of Grayson Industries, making a rare personal appearance. The room falls silent. At the executive table, Carter looks confused, then alarmed. "Ladies and gentlemen," my father begins, his voice commanding immediate respect. "Thank you for joining this emergency session. I apologize for the unconventional notice, but what we're about to discuss couldn't wait." He nods toward the screen, which flickers to life with a damning compilation. Carter berating employees. Carter instructing Ryan on falsifying reports. Carter discussing how specific board members could be manipulated or coerced. As the footage plays, Carter's face drains of color. He looks around wildly, finally spotting me at the back of the room. No longer hunched or deferential, but standing tall beside Ryan, who holds up the recording pen with a small smile. "What is this?" Carter demands, rising to his feet. This is doctored footage. A disgruntled employee trying to... "Mr. Carter," my father interrupts calmly, "every clip you're seeing has been authenticated by our IT department. But if you'd prefer more evidence..." The screen changes to show the contents of Carter's secret folders, the manipulated reports, the blackmail material, the insurance policies. Carter's eyes dart frantically around the room, seeking allies and finding none. Then his gaze locks onto me, recognition finally dawning. "You," he whispers, the pieces falling into place. "Parker, Grayson, you're..." I step forward, removing my employee badge and placing it on the table. "Isla Grayson," I say, loud enough for everyone to hear. "And yes, I've been working here for 5 years, documenting the toxic culture you've created and the fraudulent practices you've implemented." The board members and executives murmur in shock, looking between Carter, my father, and me as the truth unfolds. "This is outrageous." Carter sputters, desperation replacing his usual arrogance. "You can't. This is entrapment. Illegal surveillance." My father raises an eyebrow. "Actually, as majority shareholder, I authorized my daughter to conduct an internal investigation using company resources. Everything was done according to corporate bylaws." Carter turns to the other executives, seeking support. "This is a setup. A family vendetta. You can't possibly..." "The numbers speak for themselves, Mr. Carter," interrupts Diane Zhang, the company's CFO, who's been reviewing the financial records displayed on screen. These discrepancies, if these had gone public. She looks up, her expression grave. This could have destroyed the company. Carter's face contorts with rage and panic. He lunges toward me, shouting accusations, but security personnel, quietly summoned by my father, step forward to restrain him. As Carter is escorted from the room, still shouting threats and denials, my father turns to address the stunned audience. Grayson Industries was founded on principles of integrity and respect, he says firmly. Somewhere along the way, we lost sight of those values. Today marks a new beginning. He gestures for me to join him at the front of the room. My daughter sacrificed 5 years of her career to help us identify the rot within our company. Now, I'm asking her to help us rebuild. As every eye in the room turns to me, I realize that the end of my undercover mission is just the beginning of something much bigger. The real work, transforming the toxic culture that allowed someone like Carter to thrive, is only just beginning. But looking at Ryan's encouraging smile and my father's proud gaze, I know we're on the right path. The truth is finally out, and Matthew Carter's reign of terror is officially over. 1 week after Matthew Carter's spectacular downfall, I sit at his former desk, looking out through the glass walls that once served as his surveillance post. The office has a different energy now, cautious optimism replacing the perpetual tension that had permeated every corner under Carter's reign. The transition hasn't been seamless. 5 years of toxic leadership leave scars that don't heal overnight. Some employees remain skeptical, watching me with uncertainty, wondering if I'm truly different or just a new face on the same broken system. Others approach with excessive eagerness, hoping to curry favor with the founder's daughter. Both reactions are understandable. Trust takes time to build, and even longer to rebuild once it's been shattered. A knock on my open door interrupts my thoughts. Ryan stands there, holding 2 coffee cups. "Thought you might need this," he says, placing one on my desk. "Your 3rd meeting with legal starts in 20 minutes. I smile gratefully. "You're a lifesaver." After the board meeting revelation, my father offered Ryan a legitimate position, not as my replacement, but as my right hand in restructuring the department. He accepted, without hesitation. "Any word from HR about the exit interviews?" I ask, taking a sip of the perfectly prepared coffee. Ryan nods, closing the door before sitting down. They've compiled reports from 26 former employees who left under Carter. The patterns are consistent with what we already knew: bullying, gaslighting, taking credit for others' work. And the legal implications? 2 potential lawsuits for wrongful termination. 3 cases of provable discrimination. Ryan's expression is grim. Carter left quite a mess. I sigh, looking down at the stack of files on my desk, the aftermath of Carter's legacy that now falls to me to address. We'll make it right. Set up meetings with each of them. I want to handle these personally. Ryan makes a note, then hesitates. There's something else. Security called. Carter's been trying to contact several employees, making threats, demanding they speak on his behalf. A chill runs through me. Carter's final words as security escorted him out echo in my memory. "This isn't over. You'll regret this." Have legal prepare a cease and desist, I instruct. And let's increase security protocols for any employees he's contacted. Ryan nods and stands to leave, but pauses at the door. The news about Carter has spread throughout the industry. Your father was right. We caught this before it could destroy the company, but the fallout is still significant. We'll weather it, I say with more confidence than I feel. Transparency is our path forward. After Ryan leaves, I turn to the window, watching the city bustle below. The task ahead feels overwhelming, rebuilding a culture, restoring trust, making amends to those Carter harmed. But for the first time in 5 years, I'm operating in the open as myself. My intercom buzzes. "Miss Grayson, your father is here to see you." Moments later, Richard Grayson enters, looking around the transformed office with approval. Gone are Carter's intimidating decorations and status symbols, replaced with a more collaborative layout and walls now adorned with the actual team members' achievements. "Making it your own, I see," he comments. "Making it ours," I correct. This is a department of talented people who spent too long being diminished. He smiles, taking a seat across from me. The board is impressed with your initial assessment. They've unanimously approved your proposal for departmental restructuring. And the compensation packages for those affected by Carter's actions? Approved as well, though several board members nearly fell out of their chairs at the figures. I raise an eyebrow. Justice isn't cheap. No, my father agrees. But integrity is priceless. He pauses, studying me. How are you really doing, Isla? This is a massive transition. I consider the question carefully. It's strange. For 5 years, I played a role, kept my head down, spoke softly, made myself forgettable. Now, suddenly, I'm expected to lead. Having doubts. Not doubts. Just awareness of the responsibility. These people trusted Carter once, and he betrayed that trust. Now they're being asked to trust again. My father nods thoughtfully. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about being worthy of the trust people place in you. He stands, straightening his jacket. And I've never met anyone more worthy of trust than you, Isla. After he leaves, I return to reviewing employee files, making notes for my upcoming meetings. A soft knock interrupts me again. Marcus stands at the door, looking uncharacteristically nervous. Do you have a minute, Ms. Grayson? It's still Isla, I say, gesturing for him to enter. Ms. Grayson makes me feel like I should be wearing pearls and judging people's tea etiquette. He smiles slightly, but remains tense. I just wanted to say, I had no idea about who you were, about what Carter was doing. I know, Marcus. You are one of the few bright spots in this department. He fidgets with his tie. Some of us were talking. We're not sure what happens now. If we'll still have jobs after the restructuring. Ah, so that's the fear spreading through the office. Marcus, the restructuring isn't about cutting jobs. It's about creating a healthier environment. I watched Carter drive away talented people for 5 years. The last thing I want is to lose more. The relief on his face is immediate and profound. Thank you. I'll let the others know. After he leaves, I make a mental note to call an all-hands meeting. Clear communication needs to be my priority, the exact opposite of Carter's manipulative secrecy. At 5 o'clock, as I'm preparing to leave, Ryan appears again. One last item, he says. What do you want to do about Carter's office? Facilities can have it repainted next week. I look around at the glass walls, the commanding view, the subtle intimidation built into every design choice. No, I decide. I have something better in mind. The following Monday, employees arrive to find Carter's office transformed. The walls have been removed, replaced with an open, collaborative space filled with workstations. The imposing desk is gone, replaced with a communal table. Carter's pretentious art has been replaced with a simple statement on the wall. Our strength lies in working together. Where once stood a monument to one man's ego now stands a testament to a different kind of leadership. As I watch team members cautiously exploring the new space, Ryan approaches with a knowing smile. The ultimate payback, he murmurs. I shake my head. Not payback. Progress. 5 years of working undercover taught me the most valuable lesson. True power isn't about controlling others through fear. It's about empowering them through respect. Carter never understood that. But as I look around at the tentative smiles, the cautious optimism, the first fragile tendrils of trust beginning to grow, I know one thing with absolute certainty. We're going to be just fine.